This is Unreal Tournament 3. We're here on Xbox Series X. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So this is, I don't know if you call it a bit of a classic Unreal Tournament game, but it is, I think, really the last full effort Unreal Tournament game that we've received. And that in itself is a little disappointing because Unreal Tournament was a pretty cool series, and hopefully someday the franchise returns. So what are we getting here? It's like sub 720p, 30 FPS, and yeah, that's basically it. What's really interesting though is with the technology and the aesthetic of the time, kind of looks like Gears of War. I mean, it's definitely like a staple of the Unreal Engine, because this is what they used at the time to really showcase the technical prowess of the technology and the engine that they were doing. And now it's kind of a relic of its era, right? Since we literally do not get Unreal Tournament games anymore. Which is a shame. It really genuinely is. Like, it's a fun shooter. I mean, there's so many shooter games out there these days. You know, they're working on their Fortnite and whatnot, and I know Unreal Tournament's not a priority, but it was a cool series. I played this one when it did come out, which was, I think, like, I don't know, like I have achievements on this from like 2008. So it's been a long time. And it was mostly about the multiplayer. So the game, like, I guess you could technically play the online multiplayer, but it would be a little hard to find matches. Yeah, it would be a little difficult. I couldn't find any matches, but it does seem like the multiplayer stuff is working. So the game itself, you can play the campaign, as to say, because it's got like chapters and everything like that. Or you can play the kind of quick multiplayer matches against bots. And then finally there is, well, the online multiplayer, obviously. So you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do and how you want to play this game. And there's a wide plethora of different maps, and then there's also the different game modes that are present. There's actually quite a lot to this package. And it was great to finally take a look at it again, if that makes sense, a revisit on this one. Because I think I almost, I think I rented this one at the time. Because renting was a thing back then, where you used to go and, you know, you'd pay the money and you'd get to play a game for a little bit of time and see if you liked it and stuff. Pretty expensive process, I just want to kind of throw that out there. But yeah, no, it was interesting, because, you know, you were able to test out games and enjoy them, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I did for this one, because we were, like, you know, renting and seeing, because I was younger then. I'd be like, oh, you know, is this game cool and whatnot, and I think I enjoyed it. I just never ended up, like, buying it, as to say. And I mean, there were so many shooters at the time. But it would be really cool if they could do, like, a Redux, you know, Unreal Tournament, and kind of, like, bring back maybe the original Unreal Tournament offerings, or maybe, like, I'd love to see a new entry in this franchise. I don't think that's, you know, gonna be a thing, but it would be pretty cool. Because, I mean, you look at something like, was it Doom Eternal, or, well, I think Doom 2016 is a better example, since Doom 2016 has the online multiplayer, right? And, yeah, it would be so cool to see something like that, where it kind of revitalizes old school Unreal Tournament, because I think Unreal Tournament has such a, I guess at this point, a bit of a nostalgia factor, right? But they are pretty cool to a degree, I guess, bit of boomer shooter type. I feel like that's overly simplifying the time frame for which these games have been around, but that's kind of the origin core of this series. And, yeah, it'd be really cool to see if they could bring it back. But I mean, again, they've got Fortnite there, Epic, so there's probably no point from, like, a financial standpoint for them to do anything like that, right? And it's kind of a series that was of its time, but you would think just from a, you know, nostalgia, like, kind of perspective. You know, like, Sweeney's always there, oh, talking about, like, gaming history and stuff, and yet they've made it nigh impossible to actually enjoy the classic Unreal Tournament games. You gotta, you sit there and you're kind of like, oh, what's going on? You know what I mean? And it's kind of cool. Like, this actually feels still pretty good to play. I mean, I think the frame rate is a hindrance for sure, but it's still pretty fun, competitive kind of. I'm trying to think of a word where it's kind of like not pulpy, but you know, where you're kind of like just blowing people to bits and stuff like that. It's got a nice style to it. It's pretty cool. Like, that was fun. that was a really fun, quick kind of match. You got all your bots you can play against, so you can keep enjoying this game, just kind of like you did back in the day. And it's kind of neat. See, there's the campaign, instant action, multiplayer, community stuff, an exclusive Gears of War 2 trailer. Woo! So I guess what's also neat about this version is that it did launch with, should we do with vehicles? Warfare, duel. They kind of had, I'm more into like the regular kind of like smaller base thing. Let's go for strident or vertebrae. Let's do vertebrae. Yeah, average skill bot, split screen options, goal score 3. Okay, bots are all good to go. Start the game. Yeah, I digress. I totally got off on off topic there. But yeah, it's a neat series. It really is. Like, I still think it's pretty enjoyable and fun, and it's engaging, and like, this is such the Unreal Engine of that time, if that makes sense. Like, Unreal Engine games have always had like a certain style and aesthetic to them. I think even now, where we're at the UE5 era, you can still look at like Unreal Engine 5 games, and they've got like a certain, like the way they do certain levels of like geometry and gameplay and stuff like that, you can definitely tell what is what, right? But yeah, the weapons and the style of like Unreal Engine or Unreal Tournament and Unreal Engine have always been very specific, and it's just like it is a shame that some of these series just kind of vanish. And I know they're games of their time, I guess, and I don't know if they still have the same resonance as today, especially with Fortnite being a thing. But yeah, it's a little disappointing that we don't have more of this stuff here. And this one does actually look decent for its time. Like, it's definitely got that gray kind of aesthetic thing that was of that era. And the resolution could be a lot sharper, obviously, because it is pretty jaggedy. But I'm like, you know, this is Unreal Engine. Because I remember at the time, I was kind of like fiddling with like Unreal Engine, like the actual engine. Like, I had it downloaded and I was kind of like playing around with it and stuff. And yeah, no, it was downright exactly like this thing, because it was basically like a, you know, to a degree, like a tech showcase and whatnot. I'm just saying, like, you can take something like Doom 2016, where it's like the multiplayer of that I think is really cool, and I mean, they didn't carry that to Doom Eternal, which was a bit of a bummer for me personally, because I actually thought the Doom 2016 multiplayer was really fun. But yeah, it would be super cool to see them kind of try to do like a modern take on this sort of thing, and I doubt they ever will, but it'd be kind of cool. It would definitely be kind of cool. I'm going to have to sit here and grind through the campaign, I'm thinking, as that might be fun for a little bit of nostalgia. The level of flow in this one is so weird, too. On this map, specifically, because you're going through these different areas. Oh, so remember what I was talking about. So, for this game, it had, like, exclusive maps and content. And the other versions didn't get that until later. And this was also the only version, I guess, that didn't have like mouse and keyboard support, and it didn't have mod support, because I guess the PS3 version did, because Xbox had a more strict philosophy at the time in regards to generated content and whatnot. It was a lot kind of more compact of an ecosystem, especially compared to now, where they're very, very open on things. But yeah, they were a lot more closed off, which is interesting. So this version actually ended up not having as many kind of elements, like the mods and everything like that, which is really, really quite cool. But this is actually kind of fun. I wish it was smoother, like frame rate. Like, it'd be really nice to have this running at 4K 60. I bet this would actually look decently nice. Like, I still think it looks okay, but I mean, it's definitely showing its age, and it's definitely like, it looks so tonally, well, not tonally, but visually, it looks very much like it looks like a 360 game. It really does, you know. You would definitely describe it as being like, oh yeah, this is like a 360 era game for sure. Because it's like sort of a gray brown scale aesthetic was like a big thing at the time. And this looks exactly like the original Gears of War game, for which this did come out around a similar time. Like, games were a lot quicker to develop back then too. Like, you were getting games a lot faster release-wise, which is a huge shame in comparison to the modern era where, you know, it takes forever to get a new entry in a franchise. This is a bit of an awkward map to do capture the flag on. I almost regret not doing a vehicle capture the flag, because there's larger maps where it's vehicular warfare is the big thing on them. And I was like, oh, we'll do like these tighter maps, and this one's got like a weird aesthetic to it that has you going through different areas, obviously, for the elevation, as you've been hopefully kind of picking up while I've been playing this, that you kind of have to like go down and then go up, and then you've got to go to the other side, and then go down and go up, and then, you know, kind of reverse that to come back and actually take the next spot. But it flows okay. It's just like it is a bit of a weird map, honestly. I don't know if I love this level design, because it's a bit of a pain to actually like capture the flag on, because this is our spawn I'm at. I'm trying to get to the blue spawn. It's like the blue spawn's over there. How do I get to that? I have to do this very convoluted kind of down and up thing, and it's an annoyance is what it is. But this would obviously be a lot more competitive with real players kind of shooting at each other and stuff like this. The bots are okay. I mean, I guess I could have cranked up the difficulty a bit on the bots, but yeah, they shoot at me. They move around. They do their stuff. That's what kind of matters. Ooh, got some armor. The music's kind of nice. I really vibe with this, honestly. Like, it takes me back to like a simpler time of gaming. But I think the problem with this would have been like, oh, I like this, but it's also like, at the time I was playing Gears of War and Halo and Call of Duty, and there's all these other kind of console shooters on console were like the thing. The vast majority of what everyone did was like these types of like shooter games and stuff. And they were huge, 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 huge. It basically defined the generation. So when you have something like Unreal Engine or Unreal Tournament 3, I'm always thinking the engine nowadays, right? Because there hasn't been an Unreal Tournament in, well, basically, I think since this, right? Unless there's been some other like kind of PC little efforts here or there, but yeah. So when you had all these other shooter games, it's like you were playing those, and you would occasionally branch out and try other ones, but none of them really lasted because they were all trying to take a piece of the pie that was clearly dominated by very specific brands that had such strong legacy or just were so amazing, right? Because it's like, honestly, you got this, and it's like, why would you be playing this when you've got like Halo 3, right? Or Call of Duty 4, or Gears of War. Like, Gears of War, this has like an ad basically in the menu, like we mentioned, for Gears of War 2. It's like, you know, what is the big divide here, unless you're already a bit of an Unreal Tournament fan, to actually come in and choose this one over the other shooters? Unless you were a big fan of like classic like boomer shooter type things, which were kind of a little bit of, well, quite on their way out at this point. You'd probably be playing the other ones, right? Especially somebody being younger like myself at the time. But I mean, I did try this, so it's not like I ignored this to any degree, right? This is hilarious, because I literally remember some of this stuff being like templated as part of like Unreal Engine when I was playing around with it. Trying to develop some multiplayer stuff, and I was like, ooh, and I just kind of like gave up because it was a huge time sink and I'd have to learn so much, and I was just like, I'm not that into it. It's one of those things when you're maybe like young looking at this kind of stuff where you're like, oh, game design might be fun, and it's like kind of a bit of a thing for a lot of people where it's like, oh, it's a lot of work. Oh, it's a lot of time, or, you know, there's more simplistic engines to kind of learn stuff on. And, well, UE is kind of the base sort of, you know, AAA, AA kind of space thing, right? But there's, well, I think you get the point of what I'm talking about.
Red team takes the lead.
totally off score on things, but I kind of want to sit here and run through the campaign, actually. It would be a lot of fun to kind of do that. I don't know if the campaign, I don't remember if it's any good or necessarily, but I do remember this game just kind of being like a cool kind of shooter. Like, it does flow decently well. This would flow way better at 60 FPS, obviously. I mean, any shooter game, like, higher frame rates is ideal, but, you know, you can kind of sit here and you'd be like, I think the pacing would feel a lot better at the higher frame rate, specifically for this type of game. Yeah. I'm sure others are feeling that too, as they're kind of looking at this, where it's like, it's just not as... It's not as smooth as it should be. Like, you can tell, like, I'm moving through the map at, like, a good pacing, but, like, if I was really hitting that higher frame rate, I'd just be kind of, like, flowing through it, and it would have, like, such an aggressive level of high speed to it. Yeah. It's a big thing, honestly. Frame rate does, specifically shooters, impact that quite a bit. I killed Barktooth. Barktooth was so cool, though. He was my pal and my ally. Now who's shooting at me? Dominating. Now here's the thing too, is a lot of games, they have the chance to be like remastered and stuff. And this just wouldn't be a game that would get that kind of treatment ever, which is a bit of a shame. I wonder if they'd ever consider doing like an Unreal Engine like combined package, if that makes sense. Like, that would be kind of cool, where you get a bunch of the Unreal Engines and kind of like a little bit of an MCC like effort where, you know, you combine all these kind of Unreal Tournament games kind of as one package, and then kind of like, you know, mix the multiplayer together. That probably wouldn't work very well either, but yeah, I'm just brainstorming, just thinking of cool ways for this stuff to come back. But like this one, outside of like backwards compatibility, is just gonna be, it's probably just gonna be like a completely forgotten Unreal Tournament game, which is I don't know if it's a bit of a shame, but it's kind of just like, I like the style of Unreal Tournament. I like these types of shooter games. They're actually pretty fun. I just wish they had more resonance in the modern era in regards to something people liked playing, right? They were just... Yeah, their era kind of came and went, which is sad, but that's how life goes. Is anyone else going to capture any of these flags, or am I going to be the only person that's able to do so? Wish I had picked a different map setup. There are levels with like vehicles and stuff. Like, we did see vehicle capture the flag in that. I just thought this would be like a tighter, chaotic kind of multiplayer where I could be like, oh, here's the action and stuff like that. This is a neat level because there's like this level of verticality to it. Just lose a lot of health going up and down. Yeah, it's almost like this map is too big for the number of players we have on here, I gotta say. But I am definitely digging what this game has to offer. Wonder if I almost appreciate this more nowadays than I did when I was younger. But I did play a decent amount of it. I do have a number of achievements and whatnot. So it's not like I didn't touch it. I actually spent time playing it. But I was obviously just into multiplayer games then. It's kind of cool, you know, you go rent a game, try it for a bit, see what you liked, and then you went and buy stuff. That's how I got, like, Borderlands and Shadowrun and stuff like that. Trying them out and being like, okay, I gotta go buy this. This is a very different time for game discovery, because you didn't have really people like me doing this stuff, where you're kind of like showing off games and talking about them and, you know, kind of helping people like discover games. It just really wasn't, like, it was kind of a thing. It was more like written stuff, like review sites and that, but it wasn't quite like it is now. Or at least that stuff isn't as accessible as it was now. I finally was almost like grabbing that last flag. Oh, that was so annoying. That was so close. I need another gun. I think in general, though, I would welcome another Unreal Tournament game. Or even a lazy remaster of one of these, just so we can have more of it in action. I don't know if it would take off, though. Like, it's probably not even worth it for for Epic to even spend their resources on that when they got Fortnite such a big hit, right? I mean, why waste the time and the talent when you could just be working on more Fortnite content? I mean, it's a disheartening thought, but it's not disaccurate, right? It's very honest and where the market is right now, right?